Anyway, we better talk about this film,
Yes.
which is just as good.
Yes.
So it's quirky, quite original, has a lot of suspense to it as well. I mean, it's quite a unique proposition. Is that tricky when you sort of get that script to sort of envisage how it's going to be translated to the big screen?
Well, you need someone really brilliant at the helm. So we had Marjane Satrapi, who is just I read the script and I knew she was directing it, and so therefore I had a kind of idea of maybe how she would manage it. And the fact that she's a woman, and not to say it's, but when you're doing a horror, it's not many women that direct horror movies, and actually she brought some sort of beauty to it, and it's not just blood and guts. There's this kind of fairy tale influence. It feels a bit Disney even at times.
Yeah.
There's sensitivity, and
is that sexist to say, do you think? That a woman brings sensitivity?
No, but I think it wasn't just about the violence and the act. I think there was some sort of, the fact that when I die, when I'm stabbed, it was her that had the idea to make me look like a marble waxwork figure. And she said that would be really interesting in the mind of Jerry, that he doesn't see you. He sees you like a little cupcake rather than, so she, in her mind, it was more sort of sugary. And I think that, and the fact that everything's pink, and, it was just, it brought a different spin on this film that could have been quite sort of, I don't know, quite black, actually.
Sort of B-movie.
Yeah.
When you have the sort of a script that's good and a unique proposition, I'm more struck by how good the cast is as well. Is that because sort of scripts like this are so few and far between in Hollywood now that people grab them and fight for them? I
tell you what, I was just shocked that I was even got a part in it, because this is the type of movie that Anna Kendrick does, and I never get into those kind of films, those cool little indie films with great parts in them. And I know that Ryan fought to get this part. He made himself fly over to meet Marjane, and there were all these other actors that were, maybe a little bit more kind of, you would assume would be in this kind of movie more. And he fought for it. And it's true, this Hollywood blacklist thing, The Voices was on it, and I read scripts off it often, and I think, God, they're brilliant. Why aren't these getting made? And it's because they're so hard to finance, and but actually actors would throw themselves at these roles because they're interesting and different, and I think directors as well. It's just in the climate of today's filmmaking industry, it's all about getting finance.
Well, they are getting made though. They're just getting made on television. There's a real shift to television.
That's a good point.
Have you noticed how that there used to be sort of a snobbery in the acting world? You move from television to movies. Now that you all sort of interchange, have you noticed that?
Yeah, now it's not at all. Actually, probably you're going to have the better roles on telly. Definitely for women, anyway. I wouldn't hesitate about doing telly at all. You're right. It has changed even in the last few years. I think even Hollywood actors are doing telly, and not even just like mainstream telly. They're doing Netflix telly. It's great.
And just finally, you sort of, not much of you is seen on screen for most of the screen. You don't use your body too much. When you're acting just with your head, did you find yourself keeping your body constricted as well?
Yeah, I had to hold on to things. So it's really interesting, actually, because obviously we have our spine and all the nerve endings ending in our head. So even if you feel like you're not moving, you might be twitching, or it was quite challenging, actually. I think you can still see. It was my challenge to not have any head twitching, but you can see that. But it was quite liberating for me, actually, because I'm quite physical and quite gesticulative, and quite like the idea of going to work in my jeans and t-shirt.
We all would. As soon as cut was yelled, though, you were moving about, embracing.
Or I was trying to, but they would leave me in there sometimes because I couldn't get out. Shut the fridge door and go and have a coffee. Hello.